love, what's up? Welcome to Confidently Uncomfortable. I'm your host, Jago, health and lifestyle coach and not so regal confidence queen. Coming at you with the real, the raw, and of course, the uncomfortable. My mission is to show you that to be confident, it has absolutely nothing to do with being perfect or having it all together, and everything to do with you getting uncomfortable and pushing your limits. Thanks for joining me. Let's dive in. All right. I'm so excited to introduce this amazing guest today. Her name is Erin Killen from Montreal. So I'm already having so much fun. We were chatting a little bit before we started this interview, but basically she's going to be sharing a lot about her own experience with mindset and how it's connected with our fitness, not only our fitness in the gym, but just our fitness within. So she has her own business where she is coaching people called Fit Within, which is beautiful. She has her own podcast called the Fit Within Podcast, and you can follow her on Killen It Fitness. And you know, I'm a sucker for puns. So her name is Erin Killen. So it's Killen, Killen It Fitness. That's too cute. So I'm so excited to have her here. I know you guys are going to enjoy hearing her just speak all about her own experiences, and as well as make sure she's empowering you to have that same kind of energy within. So Erin, how are you doing today?
Bonjour, hi.
See, I knew it. She will not speak French the whole time, but I'm kind of jealous. Like, you actually speak French, right?
Yes.
That is so awesome. So
good old Quebecois French.
Well, I still love it. I've never been to Canada. I would love to go. What are if you were to try and convince me to move to Canada, it wouldn't be hard. What's the biggest thing that you love about being there?
I love it. Okay. So because there is such a horrible winter, the summer is amazing because everybody kind of just hibernates in the winter, and we all just go inside and eat and just sleep. And then when summer comes, everybody's like bloomed flower, and the energy is insane. Everybody kind of just waits for summer to happen. And then Montreal is really good at hosting events too. So there's the Just for Laughs festival that happens there, jazz festivals. So when it's summer, people make the best of it.
I love it. I feel like my dad lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota for a while, and it's similar, so much snow. You open your door, it's up to here. It's insane. Not like North Carolina where I live now, but yeah, same thing. It was people were so happy, and it's almost like the gratitude thing. When you understand whatever that saying is, when you understand that there's cloudy skies, you're able to enjoy the sunshine more. And I feel like that's such a beautiful approach to life. So I love that you have that background, and I'm just looking forward to learning more about you. So I would love for you to just do a little mini intro. Tell us about yourself.
Beautiful. So I was born in 1995. No, the story begins. But I would mainly just want to focus on the mentality part of it, because there was a very big fitness journey. There comes the point where you excel in your fitness journey and you realize that that's not all it is. So background story would be more concentrated, not on the physical aspect, but more on the mental aspect of shifting through really heavy anxiety, really heavy disconnect, we can say. And I'm going to mention the shifting through it, because before I identified with it, I used to say, I am anxiety. Yes. I am not feeling well. I am heavy right now. And then the moment that I realized, wait, this does not define me, is when everything changed. And I feel like we live in a world of definitions, right? You go to the doctor and they're like, you are anxious. You need to take these pills. You should do this instead of you can, more expansion. Now it's aiming more towards expansion within the mind instead of expanding my workouts, I could say.
So basically you're saying that I know we want to talk about that transition, because I think that's something that you're so passionate about, because it's hard to get there. So you were really passionate about fitness for a long time. You got to this point where you were really fit and you were doing it regularly. So what was the shift where you started to realize I need to really dive into my mindset. I need to break up with this idea that my anxiety is me. Where did that happen?
I would definitely say I was relying on so many things to bring me happiness, and you're like, oh, when I lose the weight, then I'll be happy. And then you lose weight and you're like, wait, no, when I have abs, I'll be happy. And then you have the abs, and then it just continues on. And I feel like I got to the point where I felt hopeless. I got to the point where I relied on so many things to bring me happiness. I didn't have it within. So how could I get it without? And I traveled to Australia. So I told myself, it was so much fun.
That's amazing.
So much fun. Yeah. And I told myself, when I go travel and I do all these things, then I'll find alignment within, and then I'll find my joy and my inner peace and all of that stuff. And then I found myself traveling And I was in the most beautiful place in Byron Bay.
Love Byron
on
Bay.
the beach. Yeah, it's so nice. And I was eating a dessert. And I was like, this is what the definition of happiness would be to me, yet I do not feel it deep within. I'm there and I'm at my fittest that I've ever been. I'm traveling in Australia. I'm meeting all of these wonderful people. And on the outside, I look like the happiest person in the world, especially on all the stories that you put. You're like, living my best life. But then deep down, I was like, shit, like I still feel so disconnected. It still feels like there's a veil over my reality and the life around me. I continued to feel so disconnected. And then I came back home. It just wasn't aligning there. And I felt the call to come back. And then it was my aunt actually who kept talking to me about the inner work that she was doing. It all started with Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is my, everybody has their person that they started with that made them like, get past their limiting beliefs. Mine was Dr. Joe. And so I remember her telling me, and I was just like, if only I could go back and listen to what I was saying. And this was around a year ago. All the things that I was saying, if current Erin heard me saying that, I'd be like, oh my God, like no, I would just want to go back and like shake me. And I'm so happy that somebody did. So yeah, there came the point that I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like I was super, super sick. I was feeling so disconnected. I had an amazing partner, amazing family, like so much support and love around me. Yet I still felt like shit. So I was like, all right, let's try something different. So I stepped out of my comfort zone and I listened to, it was like a lecture. She sent me an hour lecture and I was like, do you really think I can listen to somebody talk for an hour? Like at that point, I was convinced I had ADHD. I was convinced that I couldn't read. Like I hadn't read a full book to that point, except for like studying. I truly believed that my mind didn't have the capacity to be able to focus on one thing for that long. When she sent me the lecture, I was like, okay, fine. Like I'll listen to it, push myself out of my comfort zone. And it was that one lecture that changed everything. Like so many things were said, just mind blown. That point that you feel like, wait, what? Like happiness isn't without, like I have to feel happy within, like all these limiting beliefs and like learning about your mind and how you're just so hardwired into routine and like your inner child and learning all of these things is the moment that my mind went kaboom. And I'm lucky because this was maybe in October, November that I started listening to his stuff. And then as we know, a couple months later, what happened last year. And so when you start your journey of going within, I feel like you really just want to stay inside and work on yourself. And you start to realize your own thoughts and how other people's words are affecting you. And it's just like you go outside and you feel like you're an egg that's just broken open to the world. The awakening, right? I like calling it the transformation instead of the awakening because a lot of people associate awakening with being extremely spiritual. Dr. Joe does it in such a scientific way because it's all backed by science. The more that he's growing and the more that people are changing and the more that people are having like these crazy supernatural changes within their bodies of curing their own cancer and curing their own eyesight and being able to literally like choose the life that they want to live, the more that the scientific community is interested. So it's kind of like this beautiful ongoing spiral that's growing and growing and growing. And there's like more people and more beautiful things that are entering that cycle.
Love this. So your mind was blown. And I think one theme I really want to come back to is you mentioned like this feeling of disconnection, right? You felt disconnected to yourself. And then suddenly you started to realize like, not only can you connect back with yourself, but you can change yourself. You can work through and create your best self, your highest self, like exactly what you want for your life and for yourself, you can make happen. And I think that's a beautiful epiphany to have. And I think that's so amazing you had that. But that's a big jump, right? So feeling disconnected to having this holy shit moment, I think a lot of people get stuck in the feeling of disconnection. So I think a lot of people really struggle and they're like, I'm going through the motions. I'm doing all the things that people tell me will make me happy. You mentioned it, like traveling and being around other people, being social. And the truth is like, yes, that can bring us some short-term happiness, but if we can't find happiness within, it's always going to fizzle away. It's not going to last. It'll be very conditional when it comes to happiness and connection within. So where do you feel like you were able to shift towards that connection? Like if you were talking to that previous self that was so disconnected, what are some things you would tell them? Because I want my people listening to be able to start making that connection with themselves. And so it could be watching Joe Dispenza and diving deep into that But are there any like steps between now and then, or after you listen to that you started to do in your own life that you would recommend to your younger self, that year ago person?
Oh, yes. Like ever since I got into all of the Dr. Joe stuff, I got past so many limiting beliefs and I started reading. Wow, I can read. Beautiful. And I got so deep into it. I started reading like 3 different books and I would plan them at 3 different times in the audiobook. And I was in this state of just absorbing. So I'm so happy because now I can like people listen to it, listen to all of my tips. The main thing that I would tell past Erin is that you are not defined by how you're feeling. It's just an emotion and it's going to pass. And literally, emotions are energy in motion. It's energy within your body that's moving around and that got a chemical signal from your mind because of the thoughts you were thinking. So if you are currently feeling disconnected and anxious and depressed and you're moving through those feelings, then where are they coming from? What is the root of the problem? They do not define you. You were somehow either taught it or absorbed it. And that's where the term for me disconnect comes from, because there's a version of you that you know to be true. There's a version of you that's happy and well and is responsive instead of reactive, that is just present. And when you're not within that reality, that's where the disconnect comes from. There's a gap. So it's about figuring out where that gap is coming from. How we tend to create our realities is the way that we think, act, and feel. Okay, cool. So how am I currently thinking, acting, and feeling in ways that aren't aligning with my best self? Am I maybe telling myself thoughts that aren't serving me? Am I maybe doing actions that I know will not benefit my higher self? Is it just not in alignment with my energy? They say as long as you're in your pleasantness, that's all we seek, is to feel good.
Yeah.
So as long as you're feeling good, then you're on the right track. And a lot of us, I tend to feel like if I'm not gaining or if I'm not grabbing or if I'm not controlling, then I'm not in charge of my life. But when you're in that goodness, that pleasantness, that is actually when you are in control, because you're within your creative self and you can actually then choose to create your future instead of having it thrown on you by like all the bullshit around you.
Yep. Oh my gosh. I remember our voice message conversation back and forth. Like, this is a topic we both really relate on, because I think so many people are walking around disconnected and so many people are searching their own self-worth in numbers and in other people and in just outward external things, when really it's all about the internal. And I love how you shifted that to feeling more connected with yourself and starting to make those choices. And I think the biggest shift with that I'm hearing you say is shifting from doing and like hustle and like action and like do that to really just being, right? To being present. And it's something I've noticed just in your own life. I've seen you listening to yourself. If you need to take a step away from social media, you do it. If you need to come back and spend some time with yourself, you do it. If someone's trying to work on being more present, like really they're stuck in their thoughts, they're trying to focus on just being present, what are some things that you do on a day-to-day basis that really help you come back into yourself and feel present?
So many beautiful things now. Definitely making your inner strength a priority. Just like we would work out our bodies, we have to work out our minds too. And just like we clean our bodies, we have to clean our minds as well. But we tend to be so judgmental when it comes time to clean the mind. We're feeling anxious. We're feeling low. We've just absorbed so much energy being thrown at us. And we're like, no, like, this isn't right. There's something wrong with me. This isn't supposed to be it. But then when we go clean our bodies, we're just like, cool, it's the way it's got to be. I collected dirt, got to let it go. So it's about finding how you can clean your mind, how you can strengthen your mind and take care of it, just like you take care of your body. So it doesn't become a barrier to your life, but rather like a gate to success. It becomes like the bridge. My biggest piece of advice and what helped me, and I used to tell this to myself all the time, is how can I respond to this moment instead of react to it? Because for me, I realized how many analytical thoughts we have on a day-to-day basis. And that's fine because that's what our brain is there to do. But by doing so, our brain is like slicing everything apart, just constantly like cutting it. And when you cut, there's no wholeness. There's no more space to actually be whole because you're too busy trying to dissect. So to just know that you can respond to something and not react to it, that you can be present in a moment and not feel like you have to analyze it, then you can truly start to feel whole and connected. And it's a journey to get there. Just like we've felt disconnected and not present or unfulfilled for like 24 years it had been, I have wired my mind into thinking that I was separate from everything. I've wired my mind into worry, wired my mind into constantly, good and bad. And so every thought that I have that is connected around just being present and being responsive and being whole in this moment and being joy within everything that I do, that's going to have to become a new habit to be able to rewire my mind into a new reality. And I feel like that's where a lot of us get stuck, is that we try it for a week. We're like, oh, I'm going to do all this inner work. I'm going to become the best version of myself. And then they're doing all of these new practices. They start meditating or they start saying affirmations and they try to become a new version of themselves, and they feel separate from it because there's conditioning and wiring that has happened for so freaking long. And it's kind of like we're fighting against 95% of our subconscious brain, and our 5% is like pew, pew, pew. It's like, it's literally a war. But the thing is, the war is so worth it because you have something to fight for and it's your life. So when you realize, okay, like every single time that I choose to be here fully, no matter what I do, I'm teaching myself to be here fully within everything else. And I feel like we're taught how to not be there fully all the time. Like you said, the go, 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 the hustle. How fast can I do this? We're in a rush to get nowhere because you're not actually getting anywhere if you're not fully doing it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love, love, love how you phrase that. Just the idea of when we're experiencing something, how we immediately want to react, like, and categorize. It's like we want to react, like, should I be angry, mad, upset? Like, should I consider this good or bad? Like, what does that mean for me? How does it affect me? How does it affect others? That keeps us from actually experiencing it, right? That keeps us from actually like taking a pause and being like, okay, I need to, like you said, respond and not react. Like, don't let it react to where it hits us in a way to where we have to, like with anxiety, for example, like that we have to be like, oh, I'm so anxious or it's so bad, or like be really down on ourselves, instead of like responding, like you said, okay, I'm feeling this way. How am I working through it? Why am I feeling this way? And really breaking it down and I always talk about this with my clients, giving yourself grace and saying like, okay, I'm not going to feel shame or angry at myself because I feel this way. I'm going to look deeper and to identify why. And then also the other thing you said was that when you're starting these things, because I think you're so right. So many people start for this week of like, I'm going to meditate or do yoga and read these affirmations. But then you said you're fighting. I love how you said this, fighting a war within your mind. And so we're reading these affirmations, but as soon as it comes out of our mouth, we have this, like, our brain tells us, but not for me. Like, it's like life comes easily to me, but not for me, or it's still hard for me, or just all these like, these things that nope, it doesn't happen for me. And basically you're fighting with 95% of your mind and your narrative that has told you over and over again that you aren't enough and you can't accomplish that. And why do you feel like you can be connected and have this higher spirituality with yourself and with the world? And I love that you've been able to work past that. So you fought that war, we're always continuing to fight it, but you've definitely fought that basis to where you've understood it's worth it to keep fighting. Right. And I think some people maybe are listening to this that they've fought it again and again. They've done the week of trying to be positive and trying to speak nice to themselves and trying to bring themselves up, but they always something seems to happen in the world that gets them down. I don't know, a global pandemic. So when you were first fighting that and you were first working towards fit within, I love how you have that. What were some things that you kept doing that really kept you grounded to keep going and not give up? Because how did you get past that week? Because so many people don't.
So what I really resonated with is the trying, like we try to do this and we try to do that, but then everything kind of just crumbled and came into place. And, and you're just like, wow, like I know the answer to life and I know the answer to be able to connect with myself. It was that moment of realizing that I don't have to try. I just have to be. I don't have to go get my joy. I am my joy. It's already here. My health, my wellness, everything that I desire to have is already within me. The only thing that's blocking it is all of the resistance, all of that trying. So when I could settle into the fact that I already am that within me, I already am strong within, I already am good, no matter how much money or the job or the person, my core is good. And the only thing that is disconnecting me from that is the trying to be something else, the trying to get to validate it. For me, getting past that week was a lot of being, because I feel like we all go at it at a mental level. oh, I'm going to say these affirmations. I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and think these things, but we forget to feel it, because it's when we feel it that we actually tell our bodies that we are it. And the mind does not know the difference between something that is actually happening outside of you or something that you've just created in your mind. So I was constantly closing my mind and recreating anxiety, recreating my past, recreating the known. And therefore, I was setting myself into the same future, the same predictable outcomes, because I was operating from a level of my past. I was feeling my past emotions. So I was acting from my past, therefore creating more of my past. But then the moment that the whole thinking and being thing collapsed in front of me, and I was like, shit, okay, if I want to be something in the future, then I have to be it now. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to do it. I have to be it and embrace it fully. And then that future will align with me because I will already be living in the emotions of my future. So that whole paradigm shift of being like, shit, I don't have to go find my health. I just need to release what isn't serving my health. And then it'll come naturally. Then you find the energy for it. Then you find your inspiration. Then you find your fuel. You can ignite your fire because your fire is your inspiration and you're no longer getting it pulled away from you from all the things that aren't serving.
Oh, that was dead on. And I've said this before. It's creating change so often has nothing to do with what you need to add, but it has to do with what you need to release. Losing weight is so often focused on like, oh, the physical weight, but there's so much of the mental weight that we carry around every single day. And just the fact that you were able to say, no, I don't have to go fight for this. I have it within me. And you continued. The other thing I'm saying with a constant is you always continue to look within. So even if you started to question things, even if things came up, you still came back to yourself and recognized, no, I still have this within me. And I think that's something people are always searching, right? They're searching for other things. And so what I'm getting from with you is that you're telling people, no, you can find that within, you can raise your vibrations, you can stay high energy and be that joy. If people are trying to connect with themselves and create that higher energy, like what are some things they can start doing to raise that vibration in their life and within themselves?
I find our inspiration is our fuel, right? So find what inspires you. Oftentimes, a lot of people, when they realign with their true presence and they realign with who they are and their true potential, and they get rid of all these limiting beliefs telling them they can't do it, then they oftentimes shift into a new paradigm of reality with something that inspired them since they were young. And it's like that has always been there. Your inspiration has always been there for you. It's like your gift. And now you get to share that gift with the world right now. So let's say for me, I always loved spreading joy. Like I always wanted everybody to be happy around me. I always wanted to like do little dances for people and like teach people and just always find the positive. And then as I grew up, I disconnected with that because, and then when I realigned with myself, I realized like my passion lies within being an empathetic person who can feel for other people. And then you start to find your true inspiration, your passion, and your purpose within you, and you get to share that. So being able to now live a life where I get to do what I've always wanted to do, what I was doing since I was younger, is so beautiful. And every day is like a vacation. It really came from sitting down and being like, what actually makes me happy? Not what should I do?
Yep.
Not how should I be seen, but what ignites my inspiration in my soul. And when I was writing down the things that I used to like to do as a child, I was able to correlate that into my life right now and build a bond with myself. And even if you don't want this to be your life purpose, even if you like drawing when you were young, being able to take that creativity and add it into your life right now allows you to connect with your inspiration and find so much value. And you get to carry that within every single aspect of your life. So that's why I usually tell my clients, let's find something that really ignites your soul. And let's prioritize that. Let's make every action you take throughout the day be backed up with your fire and your inspiration for life, because we usually wake up and we get thrown a whole bunch of problems at us. And I know I see that big nod.
Yeah.
Yes, you've gone through that shift of realizing how unbeneficial it is to wake up and to just be bombarded with a whole bunch of shit that drags you down. But when we get to wake up and fuel our inspiration, fuel our passion, fuel our desires, and fuel who we actually are, then we get to be able to go out into the real world and come at it from a place of strength within. And inner peace it's a strength. It's a skill. A lot of people think it's something that, we're just going to say to ourselves, but it's a constant knowing that we are always evolving and changing within every single day, and to be compassionate about that, and to know, you know what, I'm doing the best with what I have given. Everybody's doing the best with what they have given. And the only thing I can do right now is the best with what I have, even though it's not the perfect version of what I'm anticipating it to be or what other people are anticipating it to be. As long as I'm doing good right now, I'm in my inspiration right now. That's all that matters.
Yes. Oh, yes. I absolutely feel like there's just so much gold here. People need to like go listen. Like if you're listening to this while you're walking or you're driving in your car, you need to pull over and just write down like, when I was a child, like what brought you joy? What were you passionate about? And come back into that. For me, it was really random. I started like going out into nature and like climbing trees again and like like a crazy person, but like it helped me so much. My brother's like a hippie and he has like a farm out in the middle of nowhere. So like just going there and literally leaving my phone and just being out in nature has like really helped me connect. When I was a kid that used to like collect tree frogs and like be out in the forest, I loved that. And I just was finding that I wasn't doing it as much because so much of what I do with work is behind a screen. So now making that a focal point of my life has really helped me. And I think that's something that you've done. If y'all look at her Instagram page, like she is dancing again, you know, just like when she was a kid, she has that joy and it radiates through everything that she does. And Erin, I think that that's such a great message that you're sharing with your life and helping inspiring others to do the same. So thank you so much for sharing that about you. I do want to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Yes.
Guys, before I do, make sure that you follow Erin at Killen It Fitness. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's Killen. And make sure that you check her out on her podcast, The Fit Within. Go ahead and subscribe, because if you were feeling this, like it's just going to be that on crack basis. I know it's a terrible metaphor, but so are you ready for the rapid fire questions? They're very random because that's how I am.
love it.
All right.
I love it.
Don't think, just speak. All right. You ready? Okay. What is your favorite word?
Peace.
Love it. Tacos or pizza?
Pizza.
All right. Toppings. Go.
A fuck ton of vegetables.
Like all the veggies. I love it.
Like all of it.
Great. Favorite dessert?
All of them. I'm a dessertaholic. Like I can't. Like,
I love it.
Brownies, cookies.
Yeah, you'd go with cookies. You have to choose. Okay.
Cookies.
Like regular old chocolate chip?
Chocolate chip, yeah.
That's straight from the oven. Love it. All right, this is a weird one. Favorite sound?
Birds chirping. Chirp, chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp, chirp.
Okay, this one I want you to think about if you need to take a little bit of time. But what is one thing you're working towards right now in your life that's a little bit uncomfortable for you? So like Confidently Uncomfortable is the name of the podcast. And so I really want to challenge my listeners to always, push that comfort zone and so that they can grow. So what is that thing for you right now, that confidently uncomfortable thing you're working towards?
I would say everything. Like getting past every single limit that you think you can't do, find a way to do it. And then if you fail, then at least you fucking learn something,
Love it. So what are you doing right now? What's the thing that you're doing that scares the crap out of you? I want to hear from you, Erin.
Definitely exposing myself, not exposing, but being able to do something in real time, because I love controlling, right? I love making my videos and then I get to edit them. And I was always the photographer when I was growing up, because I can take the pictures and then I can edit them. And the ones that I don't look good in, I can delete. So getting out of my comfort zone is really surrendering into who I am now and who I can present myself to be without it having to be edited. So going on things like that. Yeah.
So I think that means that Erin is going to start going live on her Instagram a little bit more. Keep on the lookout. I'm holding you to it. I think it's one of the most scary things. I still sweat like crazy when I do it, but it's so amazing to be able to connect with people and be real. And I think that people gravitate towards that vulnerability and realness because they understand, hey, we're all human, and that human connection is everything. So I love that you're going to start putting yourself out there and not feel like you have to edit the Erin that is. And you're just going to totally be, like you said, overwhelming. So thank you for that. I so appreciate you just sharing who you are, sharing that light and joy that just encompasses you, and just allowing other people to feel that today on today's episode. Guys, make sure you go check her out, follow her. We will be staying in touch. So make sure that you are in touch with her. She coaches one-on-one clients on all of this with the energy within, fit within. So message her. I know don't be shy. She's super open and awesome to chat with. So thank you so much, Erin.
You're so welcome.
Thanks again for listening to Confidently Uncomfortable. I love being able to connect with you here and honestly don't want it to end. So head over to my Facebook group, Body Confident Blueprint, and be sure to follow me on Insta at JGoFitLife. Also, if you're ready to get real confidently uncomfortable, go leave this podcast a 5-star review and email me the review screenshot, support@jgofit360.com, for a chance to win a free 30-minute fitness audit and goal setting session. I appreciate your support. See you next time.